This is a new day to try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. This is a new day to live your life. This is a new day to try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. It's life in football. We are life in football.
You are now listening to the Life in Football podcast. Check out the new website, lifeinfootball.com. Once again, the website is lifeinfootball.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to the Life in Football podcast, baby. I'm your host, Mike Fee.
And this your coach, Cole and Moore. You know we loving life and enjoying football.
We got a Super Bowl champ in the house. That's right. Newly Super Bowl champ. For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we have Mr. Duke Preston on, and he's the director of player development. And that's special because every player need development and really basically to continue to grow. And they getting it from a guy, y'all, who was involved in the game of football, and he played it at the highest level. He got drafted coming out of the University of Illinois, and he played on the offensive line. And what's so special about that, this guy is somebody who's going to give some great advice today, and he did it at big time levels, because y'all know that Big Ten ain't nothing to play with now. And then he was down there watching the guys every day through the pandemic, winning the Super Bowl championship, y'all. And he coming straight out of the great state of California, San Diego, by way. And I'm going to just quit running my mouth and let C-Mo bring him on.
How you doing, Mr. Preston?
Hey, what's up, man? How y'all doing?
Great. It's a blessing to have you on, and I'm going to get right with it on you. It seemed to me, once I was researching and doing all my looking up on you, that it was almost destined for you to make it to the NFL and be involved in the NFL. Can you enlighten us on that?
Yeah, man. I don't know. I grew up in San Diego, like we said, and my father played 9 years with the Chargers, and so I grew up kind of wanting to be just like my pops, man. And that led me to really just have this dream in my heart of wanting to play. And then that I think my dad did an outstanding job of modeling what it is to be a man, but then one who was willing to make the sacrifices and do what was necessary in order to get where they wanted to go. So, my journey took me to the University of Illinois, and then was almost ready to bounce and get up out of there and get back to San Diego, where I knew what I knew and I was comfortable. But I stuck it out and stayed. It was one of the best decisions of my life, and turned that into 35 career starts in the Big Ten and playing good football, enough to where I got drafted in the 4th round by the Bills. And so I spent 4 years in Buffalo, had a cup of coffee with the Packers, and then finished my career with the Cowboys in Dallas. And just God blessed me to go and maximize my talents and see what I could do. And now here I am back, kind of in an NFL building, trying to help young guys do the same, right? To walk through life well without stepping in potholes and short-circuiting themselves, while at the same time getting the best out of themselves athletically and becoming great men. So that's the mission, man.
Man, God definitely blessing you on that. And you hit on something that I seen, that when I said I got that. That's the day I sent you the message, like, can we please have you on this podcast? So I seen where y'all had beat Green Bay, and you said it's crazy. Well, you didn't say it's crazy, but you was like, this where it all started, that God sent me on a new direction. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So when I was, as a kid, like I said, I used to have dreams about playing, and I would like set up cushions in my living room and put a football at the bottom of it and dive into it, right? Like act like I was recovering a fumble. I mean, I knew I was always going to be a lineman where, recovering a fumble, something like that was going to be the only way I was going to score. And, so I followed that passion, man. I set aside a lot of the things that my friends and my homeboys were doing growing up and just tried to focus on where I wanted to go. And God was gracious enough where he gave me the desires of my heart, and I got to play in the NFL. But then I left Buffalo and I signed a contract in Green Bay with the Packers. while I was up there, man, I felt like God was changing the direction for me. Like that my heart, my passions of my heart wasn't necessarily in cracking heads anymore, but more so cracking hearts and trying to help men grow as people. Because, I think even the title of your podcast, Life in Football, I mean, football is an amazing teacher for life. And the guys who are able to do the game well, I think, ought to be well suited to do life well. And, I think I just had these moments where I'm looking around the locker rooms and I'm seeing guys making, millions of dollars and yet still feeling empty and without purpose in their lives as men. So, when I got released in Green Bay, it's interesting because, all the haters are out there. And I remember going in my car and being like, well, today's their day. And I felt like that was the moment, though, that God kind of pointed me in a different direction. And so I went down to Dallas and I played that last year, but I knew it was time for me to go. I knew it was time for me to go chase something else. And so then that's what kind of led me to going back and get my degree in Christian education. And then, so happened that I end up back in the NFL with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers doing what I'm doing. And then here we are going through Lambeau Field, man, where I felt like it really was like a fork in the road and a message to go left instead of right. And then that ended up where, winning a Super Bowl championship in this role. It's different than doing it as a player, but it still feels pretty sweet, man.
Now, I want to back up a little bit and revisit the question that I had. How you a kid from San Diego, California, end up going and playing at Illinois? Like, what was the story behind that?
Yeah, no. So my father is from Lawrence, Massachusetts, and he went to Syracuse and then ended up out in San Diego with the Chargers. So he didn't have any roots in the West Coast, and so him and my mom were always big proponents of me just going wherever I had the best opportunity. And growing up, I used to love watching Michigan, Ohio State, those teams on Saturday mornings. And, wanted to go somewhere where I could grind as a lineman. And I felt like Big Ten football was probably the best place to test myself as an offensive lineman. And so when it came recruiting time for me, I had offers from Northwestern, Michigan State, and Illinois. And at the time, Coach Harry Heastand was our offensive line coach there. Ron Turner was the head coach, both of them with NFL ties. And, I just felt like that was my best opportunity to go make the most of what I could do as a lineman. So, yeah, it's nuts. I mean, I a kid from California ended up in the middle of a cornfield. I mean, trust me, I got there and I was like, man, what the heck did I do? But then stuck it out, and it made me tough, man. It definitely hardened what I got and made me better.
Now, with that being said, that's a special story, too, because with your father having the background from the Midwest area, and then you going back and pretty much revisiting your roots and pretty much putting your establishment for us, putting your stamp on it and doing your thing in Illinois, like, how was it to have a father playing in the NFL and kind of reacting to you, achieving goals? Because I would always wonder that at times, because I lost my father at an early age, and sometimes I be thinking or wondering, like, oh, I wonder what he would think of me, playing ball and, just being able to see me play ball as well. Like, how was that for your dad, and then for him to see you achieve the goal of making it to the NFL?
Yeah, no, I mean, he's proud of me. I mean, even the other day I was out playing golf and I got paired up with, some older guys and they knew my dad because he had been in town visiting and he was out there hitting balls on the driving range, and he was bragging about me. So they were like, "Oh, okay, you're Ray's son." And so I mean, he's down here in Florida. He doesn't even live down here, and people know him just by him talking about me. So I know he's proud of me. But I owe so much of my success to him and my mom, because I think as a parent, your job as a parent, like I have 4 kids. I'm not trying to be their best friend, although I think it grows to that when they get older. But I'm just trying to teach them how to do it, right? Like, what's the right message to send when things get hard? Is it to pack it in and tuck tail and run because it's hard or it's uncomfortable, or do you teach them how to be resilient and to stick their feet in the ground and keep fighting for what they want and where they're trying to go? And I feel like that's one of the best things my dad ever taught me. He would always say, like, look, I don't need to do it because I did it and I got to achieve my dream. I just want to help you get to where you want to go. So he was never one that would really push me or make me do anything, but he told me, if you want to do it, I'll show you how to be the best. And he did, man. He showed me what it took to work hard. My mom out there, my mom was more of the monster, driving me and making me do stuff and drop me off than my dad was, because my dad wanted to see what I could do, but he was going to be, right there in my corner and showing me the ins and outs of what it was going to take.
Now, you said that at the end of it, you went and got another degree in Christianity, right?
Yes, sir.
And then once you got that, did you know you was getting that to pursue something else, or did you know you was getting that to be in player development?
Yeah, so I feel like I've always wanted to do things that would give me options. And so my master's degree, I went to a seminary school. I went to Dallas Theological Seminary, but I got my degree in education, so I can teach. Right. So at some point, I may end up at a school teaching something and coaching football. But I knew I wanted to be able to get a master's degree that was going to give me, an ability to the priority for me was being schooled up in God's word and understanding how to teach his truth. But then the second part of it was just being able to teach and be an educator. So when I left there, I got hired at the University of Notre Dame, and I worked in their athletic department as director of programs for student athlete welfare and development. So we used to do just the programming for college athletes. So I was actually a sport administrator for women's rowing of all things, but shoot, athletes are athletes, right? And so those girls, those young ladies, man, they worked their tails off, and they taught me so much. And I ended up seeing so many of the lessons and the truths that fit sport to sport, guy to girl, where you just see these transcendent kind of concepts that it helps. When you understand those, you see why some athletes get to the highest levels and some don't. And so that really kind of was one of those things that drove me to do that. And so even now, being in the NFL, it's something where I fancy myself a teacher, right? So our rookie programming, when we get these guys in the classroom, like you mentioned it at the outset, part of my job is to help teach them, right? Because being a pro in the NFL isn't about how fast you run necessarily. I mean, you got to have a minimum that you can do, but you can't tell me that Tom Brady is more physically talented now than he was when he was 33 or 35 or 28. But he's just better as a pro than most every other guy. And that's what it ends up being, right? Is how do you teach these guys how to be professionals and get the most out of their talent? And that's what ends up keeping them in the league. And, for my money, helps them out down the road as people.
Now, when you have these classes, do the classes also, which I know it do, teach them about how to operate outside of football and once football is over?
Yeah, no, I mean, we spend a lot of time talking about relationships, right? So for all the young football players out there, some of what happens is they don't know how to navigate the relationship well with their position coach or their head coach. And so they want to be who they want to be. But you have to understand in the game of football, it's a team sport, and it's one where you got to meet or understand the expectations that are on you from whoever's leading your team, right? And so a lot of young players, they end up short-circuiting their careers and disqualifying themselves because they're hard-headed and they want to be who they want to be. And so I think the trick in football is you got to understand what's expected of you, meet those expectations, and then you're able to go out and rewrite the book and have your own expectations become what coaches and evaluators end up thinking of you. So, even something as simple as navigating relationships, we talk about guys and girls and dating relationships, for sure. But then how do you handle a relationship with a financial advisor who's not returning your phone calls? How do you handle a relationship with mom and dad who now, since you've made it and you're on, they got their hand out looking for rent money and car money and everything else. And so navigating those things and trying to give these guys tools on how to become better men, it ends up fitting on the field and off the field.
Now, that's beautiful to, actually give these guys great looks, and that you played in the NFL too. Now, I want to get to the fun part, man. Let's bowl out a little bit. Now, y'all made it to the Super Bowl in Tampa, where the organization is. Okay, give me how it was before the season, cause y'all dealt with a lot. We got the pandemic going on. You got to figure out how you're gonna, interact with each other. I'm pretty sure y'all got testing and everything. And then y'all knowing that the whole time the Super Bowl is gonna be in Tampa. And by the way, the NFL, and I gotta get to the NBA too. For the past season, both did great jobs, man. Like getting through games and putting a great product on the field, and nothing fell off for us competition or anything. So how was it for you being in the building with all of this going on? And just like I just said, now y'all knowing, hey, the Super Bowl in Tampa, we could bring it back to the house. We got Big Tom on deck. So how was that for you?
Yeah, man. I actually was sick with COVID the first couple rounds of the playoffs, but our guys almost made I can't remember the guy, but the anthem was just that we were gonna go in and take over traps, man. And that's what we ended up going to do, man. We went up to Washington, went into New Orleans, and then had to go up to Green Bay. And it's a different feeling, I think, when you're trying to defend home field with a team that's just hungry and wasn't playing like we were scared. It was just found money. You know, we knew we were the best team when we walked on the field, position to position, and our guys had some dog in them, man, and they knew what they were going to go out and take. I think the hardest week, man, was going into the NFC Championship, because at that point, the NFL had already taken over the stadium, and from our practice field, you can see the stadium. And so they had already put up the Lombardi Trophy big wall that faced our field. So like the whole time, you know what's coming right across the street, and you want so badly to be in that game, but you got to go up and handle business. So that was tough. I mean, I kept finding myself glancing over there, looking at that that Lombardi Trophy hanging from the side of the stadium, and being like, man, it's only 1 week away, but we had to go do it. And then we did it. We get into the game, and man, it was our home field, but you walked out there and it didn't feel like our field. It looked totally different. The NFL did an amazing job transforming it into a Super Bowl. And I'll tell you this is a little secret. So during the game, you know, on TV, they showed all those little cardboard cutouts all around the stadium, right?
Right.
So it looked like it was really full. Here's the thing. They said that there was only 25,000 people in there. Man, there's no way there was only 25,000 people. Man, that thing was packed. Like, they put all those things in there so it would look like it was just, those are just cardboard cutouts. No, those were real live people, man. There might have been 40,000 people at that game, in my estimation, because it was loud. It was crazy. It was everything you hope for in a Super Bowl.
That's amazing, cause I was wondering about, you know, how everything went for us, the stadium and what y'all practicing, and you know, you kind of explained everything just then. Now I want to know too, and this is my last question for us, like with the ticket process, and y'all had a parade after you won, which was on the boats. Yeah. So I want to know, like, how many people asked you for tickets, and how was it on the boat if you was on one of that boat parade?
Yeah, so the tickets are wild, man. You know, it was easy for me because my mom and dad came down. My fiance had her family in town. It's, you know, my answer to everyone else was no, because I had to buy 10 tickets. I'm still trying to dig out of the change drawer and in the center console of the car to pay those off. But shoot, I had my 4 kids there, my mom and dad there. They all got to be, you know, under the confetti when it fell. My fiance's down on the field with me, man. So that was like once in a lifetime awesome moments. But you know, handling that was what it is. It's always crazy for the Super Bowl. And then the boats, man, like I was just trying to keep my kids from getting knocked in the head with a beer can because they were on the boat with me. And so, you know, for me and my family, we were just hanging out and watching all the guys wild out, and that was fun, man. Just to see them get to enjoy that day that they had worked so hard for, you know, and doing it Tampa style out on the river with the boats and stuff was cool, man.
Well, y'all just heard a great interview by Duke Preston, and he's a Super Bowl champ. I want to say congratulations to him. He gave some great information, and to any young player with the desire to be successful, it's not all about going to the NFL, but you need to put in the hard work. And like he gave some great intel, try to figure out things outside of the game to actually focus on as well. And man, I just want to thank Duke again for coming on and just giving us some great insight. And like I say, they won the big Lombardi Trophy, and they came out on the big end for us winning. And I was so happy they won as well. Being from Florida, and the last time the Tampa Bay Bucks won, a guy from my hometown by the name of Dexter Jackson won the Super Bowl MVP. So that was great to see that Tampa Bay came out on the winning end again for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna leave y'all how I always leave y'all. Keep your head up and not down, or else you'll fall to the ground. This is Life in Football Podcast. Catch you next time.
Yeah, that's life in football. This is a new day to live your life. This is a new day to try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. It's life in football.